Hello, Senior Stoner fans. It's the real Senior Stoner back at you for your Puffco Peak Pro dab of the day. Hello, everybody. Today is Saturday. How do you make a difficult decision? Think about it. We've all got to make them at some time or another in our lives. How do we do it? What criteria do we use? What information do we gather to make those decisions? Let's discuss. Well, I think you have to consider whether or not you will be able to look at yourself proudly in the mirror the next day after you do what you're thinking. Number one. And I think you have to reflect on past difficult decisions you've done and how you made those, because there's a structure to it. There's a process that you've engaged and you've used. The problems don't have to be the same or even similar for the method to work the same. Maybe you meditate and listen to your instincts, because meditation affects balance within your life. And then you might have the motivation, inclination to carry out the action that your decision requires. You want to set aside time to give careful thought to the decision. The worst thing you can do in any situation when thinking about a decision is act in haste. Often, we want to ask ourselves, who will it affect? And what does my heart tell me? What does my gut tell me would be the outcome of the actions of my decision? And maybe you also want to even go as far as imagining having made the decision already. And if you get a feeling of relief, that's the way you go. But it's coupled with sadness or a problem, maybe you take a different path on your decision. And you may ask yourself, what's the most pleasurable choice? Where is it the most fun? And certainly those are great questions, but as we've learned in the world, consequences always occur. So I think we have to always check with our internal compass. Check with who we are. How will you feel if you make the decision? How will you feel if you make a different decision? I think people also make mistakes and learn from them, and that helps you decide. It helps you train yourself to make decisions. A lot of people talk decisions through with others, trusted friends, loved ones, before they make them. Then after they've gathered as much possible information as they could get, they decide and they act. Often folks make a patient effort and have confidence in yourself. In other words, whatever your choice is made, validate it. And then you can gain experience and wisdom through what you've done, whether it's preferred or not. It's very important when making a decision to let go of the fear. You have to know sometimes there's no right or wrong decision, that any decision is better than indecision. Movement is better than stagnation. And I think you need to ask yourself, very possibly, a few questions, 3 questions maybe, before diving into something that's new or daunting and extremely challenging. What's the worst thing that can happen? How likely is that to happen? And can you deal with if it happens? And I also think it's important to consider going with your first instinct. Guts tell us a lot. The minute you second guess yourself or doubt your choice, often it goes downhill from there. But you always need to take a moment to think about the consequences of every course of action that you could take and decide which course would be the best. Oftentimes, you try to see the situation as multiple different ways, many angles as you can. Ask elders for advice, professionals, they're great sources. Sometimes you need to walk away from the issue just a bit, take a few minutes, take some time, and then come back for a fresh look, and it maybe changes your approach a little bit. A lot of people find that they talk themselves into something. You know what? If you have to talk yourselves into something, often that's a bad decision. Good decisions usually feel right with a whole lot of second guessing not necessary. And one method is to contemplate options and select the one that you feel a sense of excitement for. And you want to listen to your emotional instinct, because if it feels good, authentically good from here, go for it maybe. If it doesn't, use caution and back away. Always remember two things you have to think about. Is the choice good for me? Is the choice good for my family? And then listen to those answers. And make decisions with your head if they're small. Make decisions with your heart if they're large. And try to remember to reflect on the past decisions that you've made, whether they're good or bad. Each one has taught us important lessons. To learn by our mistakes is crucial, but don't forget our triumphs to learn by. They're just as important. And finally, I'm 63 years old. What would you think about this when you're 70? In other words, years go by, how would you reflect on the decision you made today? Because that's going to help you make a good decision for the long term rather than just for instantaneous gratification. Instantaneous gratification is, how does it feel right now? Long-term success for a decision is, how is it going to feel 5 to 10 years from now? And you have to remember, make sure you've aligned your actions, all of them, with your life purpose and personal values. And remember that it's much easier to know the direction that is right for you after you've done those things. You've actually got to have knowing and defining of who you are, awareness of who you are, because being true to who you really are is important. And it's a funny conclusion to this discussion. You're following the path of least resistance. You're doing self-improvement when you listen to yourself and align all your actions with how you truly feel inside. Look, let's face it, it's difficult sometimes. It's difficult for us to make decisions in the world. We're human beings. Things go left, things go right. You know what? We have to go with them sometimes. Let's take a dab today of Los Angeles Cushberry cheesecake, live diamonds. Here we go. And I think it's important for us to think like this all the time, because you never know when you're going to run into situations that you're going to have to make maybe snap judgments. Maybe you're going to not have a lot of time on your hands to make a decision. Well, you should have an understanding with yourself about how you're going to make those decisions, what it's going to take for you to make certain decisions. Boy, this stuff smells great. Here we go. Thanks for watching today's video on decision making. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Send me your comments, please. I respond to all of them and really love getting them. I'm going to throw something extra in about decision making. Decision making is two ways. It's reflexive, that means spontaneous, or it's thoughtful. Both can be good. Don't give yourself a hard time. Make good decisions. Make great decisions. This is the Real Senior Stoner. Thanks for watching. Cheers. And have a great day, everybody.